meeting the budgeted target, revised target, or would it surpass that?
Yeah, I'm quite confident of meeting the revised target. Till the end of February that we have the figures, the growth has been about 42%, total indirect taxes. Service tax, it is about 20%. I mean, here and there something, because I'm just, from my memory, I'm telling you. And central excise, it was 32%. And customs, right now, it is, I think, around 60%, 59 or 60%. And generally, we have seen the month of March brings a lot of revenue compared to other months. So we are hopeful we'll be able to meet the revised target.
Okay. And so how you look at the new target that have already been declared now for the next coming financial year?
2011-12.
Yeah.
So that is also quite reasonable, I suppose, because a lot of exercise was done, and on that basis that has been placed. And going by the growth, right now we have 8.6% GDP growth, and we have pinned it at 9% for next year. Then the manufacturing, indirect tax maximum, as I mentioned in my deliberations here, that indirect tax maximum comes from manufacture. And right now, manufacture constitutes about 16% of the total GDP. And the Finance Minister has announced in the budget that by another 10 years, he would like to have it to 25% of the GDP. So this is one. And the other thing is that the service sector constitutes about 55 to 60% of the GDP. But right now, till last year, service sector has been contributing only about 10%, even less than 10% of the total indirect tax collections. Now, you would have seen that we have expanded the service base, mainly keeping in mind our ultimate aim to go over to the GST regime, we made it broad-based. So we expect even the service sector indirect tax collections will be greater.
Okay. So in the proposed budget, the one thing that has been debated and has become a controversy is the service tax being levied on the healthcare particularly. Now, of course, finance ministers would be making the point clear on February 22nd, but what is the general consensus that is emerging, particularly from your side? Would it be looked at more pragmatically, because the intentions are not, but the whole debate is about a common man going to get affected by this tax?
Well, you see, the main theme behind broad-basing the service tax was that we are heading towards GST. When the GST comes, so our finance minister said that the debate, he would like to have a public debate about whether we should go in for a positive list, which means a total tariff, codified tariff for the service tax, or he would go in for a negative list. That means a short. The negative list can't be a big one. It has to be a short negative list. So, but that debate is on, even in our own department. So keeping that in mind, it's very essential that we broad base it, that to prepare the people to go in for the GST. So we thought that what we have done, and if you see, wherever we have expanded, broad-based the GST, and wherever we have brought two new items are your hotels and restaurants. The ultimate objective has been that we will, only the man the taxpayer who can pay tax, only he will be brought into the net. Keeping that in mind, we have put threshold. On hotels, we have put a threshold, billing of more than 1,000 rupees. For restaurants, that it is air-conditioned and it is licensed to serve liquor. So we expect that Aam Aadmi that we talk of are not covered by this. Similarly, hospitals, yes, you have mentioned about the health services. They are also, what we had thought, not thought, we have seen that what we have said is that centrally air-conditioned and 25 beds and above. Now, when we say centrally air-conditioned, I think everybody is perceiving it as the cities. We are not talking about the small towns. How many hospitals are centrally air-conditioned in small towns? So we are not talking about air-conditioned. You see, and even in small towns, the OT is air-conditioned, ICU is air-conditioned, but not the central air-conditioned. So automatically they are out. So we never thought, and even now we think that Aam Aadmi will not be affected by that. But then, if I may put it this way, we had brought this as a public finance perception, And sometimes public perception is different from public finance perception. So we are sensitive to the emotive issues that it has been made out of. So our finance minister will take a call and he will reply on 22nd.
Okay. Now,
if I can rephrase my friend's question, I think what he's trying to ask you is that based on your current thinking, is there any sort of a particular lean towards any sort of a relaxation of the service tax?
See, Parliament is in session. I cannot give any statement which will indicate what the finance minister is going to say on 22nd in Lok Sabha and 24th in Rajya Sabha. I can only tell you the rationale behind our bringing it.
Okay. So now with the GST amendment been finally cleared by the cabinet and expected to be tabled in this session, are you still confident of meeting the April 1st, 2012 deadline when it comes to rollout? Or what is the new deadline that you will be looking at GST?
12th is already, FM has also declared that, it's not. Well, you see, time and again our finance minister has said that GST is a joint venture project between state and 30 plus states, between center and 30 plus states. So to have GST, we must have consensus amongst 30 plus states first, and then between 30 plus states and center. So with that aim in mind, for 4 years we have been discussing, and we have reached consensus on many points. Now the only point where the consensus was eluding us, if I may say so, was on the constitutional amendment bill. That the amendment is essential, there is no difference of opinion. But on certain provisions where some of the states, most of the states have agreed, the final draft that the centre had prepared, most of this, some of the states have expressed reservation that it is going to interfere with the fiscal autonomy which is enshrined in our constitution. But as we look at it, see, whenever you take up a joint venture, it has to be a matter of give and take. Because even for the centre, the autonomy would be slightly reduced. Because like in budget, we are raising tax and bringing on in goods and service tax. To do anything, we want that it has to be cleared by the GST Council. So, now coming back, so what our finance minister has done, that's for 4 years discussion is going on. So now he is placing it in the parliament. It doesn't mean that the parliament will, as it is, it will make it into the act. As I said, there has to be consensus amongst all the honourable parliamentarians. So, but it will be referred to the standing committee, parliamentary standing committee. That is the practice. I am going by the practice. What Parliament will do, it is Parliament's privilege. But this, I am talking the practice is that when a bill is placed, Parliament is an important bill, is referred to as standing committee. When it goes to the standing committee interacts with all the stakeholders, including 30 plus states and our centre and the trading industry. So that time, whatever reservation is there, that can be taken and they will send their recommendation and then the thing will be placed. So keeping that in mind, I am quite hopeful that whatever reservations are there and will be taken care of when the Standing Committee of Parliament always does a great job. So they will be able to sort out all these differences, and then once that is the first hurdle. Without constitutional amendment, we cannot proceed. So once that is done, and at the back end we are doing our job. So April 1st, okay, it looks quite, already finance minister has announced, but the process is there. It will go to then the winter session if it comes back from the standing committee. Winter session, suppose earliest winter session only it can be cleared, but that also doubtful whether winter session will be cleared or not. Then it will go to the next budget session. Then the constitutional amendment, after it is done, then only centre will place the central GST bill in parliament. States, 30 plus states will place it in the states. So it will take some more time.
So in this year's budget on the indirect tax front, there's been a provision which has been reintroduced after many years, and that's the provision for prosecution under services, just like the Central Excise Act. Do you think that will help in stricter enforcement as far as malpractices on the service tax?
Actually, we are not so much on the, on enforcement side for the prosecution. It is basically, if you have seen, there are many strong signals our finance minister has given for going towards GST. Now, we are aligning the goods and services. As you only said, rightly so, that on goods there is provision of prosecution, excise. So the service tax also we thought that because when the GST comes, you can't make a distinction between goods and services. It's one bundle. But at the same time, services being services, we thought that we should be very cautious on this, and that's why, we have not brought in the provision of arrest here.
Exactly.
B, we have kept the level of approval for prosecution to the level of Chief Commissioner, Additional Secretary to the Government of India level officer. And then we are also telling the people, it is only when there is real fraudulent, there is no service provided but a fake invoice given. Only on such and some, which is not for certain minor errors here and there. So it will be very judiciously applied. But overall, I remember about around 17% growth we are seeing.
But what would be the revenues that you specifically that you're looking at when you say restaurants or healthcare that would be brought into the service tax?
You see, we are not, again I'm telling, we're not so much on the revenue. Yes, some revenue will come, and as I always maintain, at the end of the day, I am a revenue man. And my main core competency is collection of revenue. But here where our emphasis is on aligning it, the goods and services aligning. That was of more importance.
So other than the constitutional amendment bill which you're talking about, is there any other obstacle that still remains when it comes to convergence on GST from all the states?
No, you see that now, apart from the constitution, the other thing is that what will be the model legislation, how the IT will be implemented. They were making good progress, and everything is being done in tandem with our officers, central officers are interacting with the state government officer, state finance ministers and their representatives. And on IT front, we are doing. We have engaged Dr. Nandan Nilekani, and we have taken his service, and he has been kind enough to advise us almost. He's chairing a group. And we have made we have made a special purpose vehicle for, we call it GST Net, which will be the interface between the taxpayers and the tax administrations, both center as well 30 plus states. And already we have taken in that GST Net, in the special purpose vehicle, there will be 3 stakeholders. One will be the center, one the states, and there will be a technology partner, which we have identified as NSDL. And in 11 states, they are going to have this the pilot projects one by one. So whatever is being done through consensus. So even your procedures, and so that as you know by now, that there will be 2 channels, one will be for the CGST, other for the SGST. So we want to see that these are all harmonized. There is no conflict between the 2 channels.
So despite groundwork on the ground, despite consensus on the ground as far as the administration is concerned, do you agree that unless there is widespread political consensus, it would be practically impossible to push this reform through?
Ours is a democracy country. Obviously, parliament supremacy is always there. The legislature supremacy is always there. We are only providing the executives, we frame policies, and then ultimately it is the parliament which is to approve. Yeah, I fully agree.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.